Hey, it's Captain Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what I'm talking about is the difference between fluorocarbon and monofilament lines. Now, over the years, it's been a lot of debate about these. Personally, I think spending the extra money on fluorocarbon lines doesn't pay. I think it's kind of scammy. I think it's just marketing because there's very little difference from what I can tell. As long as you're using clear or pink line, I just don't think it matters. Now, there are some advantages of fluorocarbon, okay? One of the big ones is based on the lures you're fishing with. So if you're fishing with a jig or something like that and you want your line to sink more rapidly, fluorocarbon sinks better. But for instance, if you're fishing a topwater lure, say you're doing some sort of walk the dog type of lure, well, monofilament floats, so it's actually going to give you better lure action because it wants to stay up on top of the water. So there's pros and cons of each. Another pro of the fluorocarbon is that there's no stretch. So it's a lot like braid that way. It's more sensitive. You can feel the bite better. Sometimes, however, you want some stretch in your line when you're first setting a hook, especially on fish like trout, where they have a very soft mouth and you don't want to tear a big hole in it. So monofilament leader, if you're targeting trout, is going to be a better go for you because it's just not going to tear a hole in them, and they're going to be able to get off more easily and less visible. I guess so. For me, I've used them both. I bought into the fluorocarbon thing and spent all the money, to get them. But as I just go through my days when I'm fishing, I don't really see much difference at all in the amount of bites I'm getting. The only time I think so, and I don't know if it's in my head or not, could be, but is when the water is super clear. When that water is gin clear, I really think that the fluorocarbon is going to be better for catching those fish. When they're, like, say, super shallow, super clear, when they're super spooky, you got to pitch something really small at them, you're going to spook them. The line will spook them, everything will spook them. I think there's an advantage there with fluorocarbon. But when you put them all together, and I've seen some different studies done where, we were always told that fluorocarbon was more abrasion resistance. I haven't found that at all, and now studies are starting to come out saying, yeah, that's not really true. That monofilament actually is more abrasion resistant than fluorocarbon. So a lot of these marketing things we've heard over the years might not necessarily be true. Me personally, I just buy the big rolls of like Andy or one of those brands and use it for my leader material. So you can get a nice big spool of pink Andy or clear Andy. ANDE is the one I like. And God, it's so cheap compared to fluorocarbon. And then you can have a bunch of different rolls without breaking the bank. I got 20, I got 30, I got 40, 50, 60, depending on what I'm doing. But that'd be super expensive to have that much line, when you're buying the fluorocarbon, because it is very expensive. So those are kind of the pros and cons of each, based on what I've seen doing my fishing charters and things like that. The ultimate question, is fluorocarbon worth the money? I'm going to go with no. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this one. People are going to tell me how stupid I am in the comments. But I really haven't noticed it. And I don't even know if it's in my mind or not about the super shallow, super clear. Kind of seems like fluoro's better. Fluorocarbon lines are better. But I don't know if I'm just tricking myself. So I've gotten away from it. in recent years. I was all in at first. I believed it. I believed everything the marketing said. I'm not sure I believe it anymore. So if you don't want to spend the money, don't bother. I mean, maybe have some for those super shallow, super clear water scenarios. Maybe have one little thing of 20 or 30 or whatever you like. But I wouldn't spend the money on all the different pound test fluoro. Not anymore. I fell for it at first, but not anymore. I really don't think there's enough difference to make. It's too expensive. Bottom line, it's too expensive. So that's my opinion. I hope it helps, and that's it for today. So until next time, I'll see you then. All right, bye-bye.